Learning about storytelling by analyzing the films that came before us is our favorite way to improve as storytellers ourselves. And today we're going to be looking at pinch points, specifically the pinch point right before the midpoint. A pinch point is a smaller event in a story that pushes the character into more action. This is not as large as the midpoint, and it won't change the trajectory of the story, just keep it progressing. The genre we will be analyzing today is the biopic. Let's start with A Million Miles Away. For context, Jose M. Hernandez has a dream of becoming an astronaut, but at the moment he is nowhere near that goal. He is working as an engineer with no clear path to becoming an astronaut, and it still seems like a crazy dream. The pinch point is sandwiched between two beats of the B story, his relationship with Adela, his future wife. This pinch point brings us back to the main story by progressing his career. Jose makes a discovery at his engineering job which gives him credibility and status within the company.
Thus giving us a better reading of the beryllium detectors. Or at least it would be more consistent because it wouldn't interact with it. We would minimize the interaction of the explosion.
This serves to progress the primary goal of the movie. It's a push in the right direction for Jose. At the midpoint, Jose's dream of becoming an astronaut goes from being far-fetched to an achievable goal that both he and his wife are reaching for.
I think about it every day, every hour. I can't stop thinking about it.
The pinch point makes the midpoint better by consistently building to it. Now let's move on to Miracle, a sports biopic about the 1980 U.S. hockey team and their coach, Herb Brooks. For context, Herb is tasked with creating a 20-man roster for the Olympics and coaching those men to a gold medal, which would require a win over the Soviets, the best team in the world at the time. 6 months in, the team has been whittled down with only one more cut to be made. At the pinch point, Herb brings in a new player at the last minute. This puts pressure on the team. They will either fracture or solidify.
What's he doing here?
How you doing, Tim? Good to see you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for the shot.
Good luck.
Players who were previously at odds band together and advocate for each other. They are now a family. The midpoint brings us a heartbreaking moment when the last man is cut from the team. But this wouldn't have been as impactful if it wasn't for the added pressure of the pinch point. And now we move on to A League of Their Own. This movie is the story of the Women's Baseball League started in the absence of the Men's League during World War II. We follow the women of the Peaches as they navigate their lives, the war, and most importantly, baseball. This pinch point is Tom Hanks finally taking charge of the team. Before this, he was basically picking up a check and drinking away his days. In this scene, their best hitter is up and Dottie, doing her best, tells her to bunt. Tom, having more knowledge of the game, disagrees with this decision, and after some comedic back and forth, he wins out.
Come on!
The ladies are fine with having him coach, they just want him to do his job.
Right. I'm ready now.
Play ball!
Oh, goody. Show us something different. Put it by him.
At the midpoint, the women learn that the owners of the league are ready to call it quits, which spurs them on to do everything they can to try to save the league. And playing crowd-drawing baseball is easier to do when they have a good coach at their side, which they have thanks to the pinch point.
Are you crying?
No.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
So you can see how a well-executed pinch point can help the pacing of the second act as well as maximize the impact of the midpoint.